Olaram, Baljate Vartur, Narvore. Welcome to our podcast. So today's topic is how to find water, store it, continuing off of last week's topic of off-grid living. So today we're covering how to gather and store and purify your rainwater. As soon as I get the mic figured out, we've got Julia Wolf, Kansas Mando, and Wanderer73 with us today. And Wanderer will be at least helping us out on the gathering and storing and purifying part of this. Kansas, I know you've got some experience with this as well. Julia hopefully will help us out with some language. I know she's been translating some stuff and posting into the Mando Armandoa chat channel. Nope. And she just left us. Hopefully she'll be coming back. Kansas, for some reason the voice channels have moved to push to talk, so you'll have to go into your settings to fix that. And she's back. Julia, while they're getting their push to talk set up, you want to go ahead and cover some of the language that you've been translating for us and how you went about doing it?
Well, most of my translations have.
Yes.
My last translation was the 12 tenets.
Would you like to go over those? And I know you'd had some changes that you had made to them.
Sure, let me get my stuff.
While she's doing that, I came up with a few myself. So at the time it was around New Year's, so I translated Happy New Year, Rikase Ivarla Simir, and Happy Holidays, because we don't have a Christmas, but we do celebrate holidays. So we Rikase Rakirish say. And because sometimes I'm not as smart as I think I am, I translated a term, flat brain, smooth brain, is Kajil Meche. Yeah, that's all I've got. I know we've also got some rank and military style translations, thanks to someone that is now gone from the way due to some problems that we're having regarding service members, law enforcement. But that will be a topic for another day once we get all this figured out. Go ahead, Julia.
Okay, I don't know if anyone else is aware of this, but the original English where it says remain, in the Mandoa it denotes decay, and I think they mean like human remains. So I don't know if we should really be, I don't think we should really be using the word remain.
Alright, Wanderer, you're gonna have to set up a particular button. Myself, I usually put it on control. Usually do that because there's no function for that in any of the games that I play. So, Julia, let's see if I can help you out and figure something out that would work for remain that is not.
Well, first I came up with two. One was standing by, and the other one was where. I kind of think that standing by is kind of stationary, but where means something every day. What do you think?
Well, that does work as well, and I also just found it's actually stagnate, like remain the same, which is auto sumir. Which
that's why I didn't want to use the word.
Thought I heard someone else, but that might have been coming from your side.
Anyway, so standing by is nai pare.
Which one was it?
Standing by. So standing by armed and standing by armored would be nai pare ruravik and nai pare Bascarie. Oh, Bascarish.
Okay, so it looks like you actually updated that.
I just
you've got wear weapons and wear armor. Instead.
So it would be like wear weapons and wear armor.
I think I like the Acute Bespe Tres. And the Acute Bescargam is a little bit better.
Yeah, I think so too. Have you noticed that some people have been talking about the classifying the weapons or the armed as in a gun? I kind of think that if we have the translation as wearing weapons, it does not necessarily mean a gun.
Yeah, and the tenet actually states that all weapons are holy. It does not, because there are. We've had this chat in a off Discord group that the admin are in, and this chat was actually brought up in the general chat as well. And I'm not sure why, but I'm not seeing the there it is. Go ahead. So, oops, come on, scroll up a little bit more. There we go. So the first tenet itself is a Mandalorian must be armed with a firearm whenever physically possible. Out of the respect for the rights of private property owners, such weapons shall remain discreet and concealed whenever possible, unless their use is needed to protect innocent life or property. So there's a note what weapons are covered under the first tenet. In short, all of them. Firearms, axes, knives, swords, vehicles, and all others are holy in our faith. So, primarily firearms is what we speak of when we say stay armed. But we have... Oh, good Wanderer. That being said, some states are a lot different than others. So myself, I live in Tennessee and I work in Mississippi, or used to work in Mississippi. Both states and several around are considered constitutional carry and safe havens, where unless I'm going to conceal carry, I don't even have to have a permit to carry my firearm if I'm open carrying. Now, if I tried doing that in Chicago, New York, California, my ass is going to get arrested, because those states need a permit. And we also have Vode living in other countries. Like, for example, I know we have several that live in Great Britain, the UK. They can't own any form of weapon. They cannot own firearms. I think even knives, unless it's like a butter knife, they can't carry that out in public either. So for them, we have to get creative. Which is why, in that note, what weapons are covered under the first tenet? Everything. Anything can be a weapon. Even though, when it says a Mandalorian must remain armed at all times with a firearm, there is some leeway in that. Which is what that whole conversation was about in the general chat. And it's the same thing with the armor. So, steel-toed boots do not count as armor. That is something a workplace will require you to wear. So, I'm not exactly sure what at the time will be considered armor for feet. We will have to figure something out to put over our shoes or boots that will actually denote armor of some kind. But your shoes themselves, they are not armor. That is something you would have to wear anyways. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hey, I think Kansas figured out the push to talk.
Congratulations, Kansas.
And then the so the other chat that was coming up is between military and regulations on what they can wear for religious reasons. So let me see if I can get back up into general chat and find that conversation that actually has the regulations in it.
You can hear me now?
I can hear you, yes sir.
Okay. Now
You had to assign it to a button, didn't you? You hadn't done that yet.
well, I'm on my didn't realize I actually really had to push the talk. I thought once I muted my microphone, my headset would work. It's not.
Gotcha. Let's see, where is this chat at? Okay, there we go. So, I'm assuming this is going to be Air Force regulation, because I think that's where this gentleman, or this vote, is in. So, it's regulation 6.3.1.1.2, bracelets. Ankle bracelets are not authorized. Members may wear one bracelet, and this is military regulation. This is not by any means the faith's tenet. When I say member, this means uniformed member. So uniformed members may wear one bracelet around their wrist. If worn, the bracelet will be conservative, which is defined as plain, not drawing attention or faddish in design, no wider than a ½ inch, gold or silver in color, and will not have any inappropriate pictures or writing. Medical alert / identification bracelets are authorized. However, if worn, they will be conservative. That's the key term in this regulation, is conservative. And at any time, your command can and will be able to tell you to take it off. And if you ignore the regulation, you're going to get in trouble, whether that's an Article 15, demotion, pay cut, whatever their chosen punishment will be. And this goes across all religions. It's not just focusing on the way of the Mandalore. So, being able to stay in armor and be currently enlisted just doesn't work out at the moment. I have to be careful how we word this, because just a quick disclaimer. I'm not telling you this will work. I'm not telling you it won't. Don't use me as your scapegoat for anybody listening to this in our current military. We're not saying you cannot be a part of the way, but at the moment, we're having a hard time being able to fit the two together. Because at the same time, if you're deployed overseas, the way will not condone the act of taking offense, even if it means being on the defensive. Does that make sense? Because that's part of the 10th tenet. We will not, or I'm sorry, not the 10th. Da, da, da.
I think I got it.
Yeah, so the third tenet, I'm sorry, not the 10th, is we must never be the one to initiate violence. And being a part of the military, you initiate violence. That's another thing that just won't really work out with the way at this moment. Will we get it figured out eventually? I'm sure we will. But right now, we're so far into our infancy, we don't even have the legal recognition yet. We're still working on that.
I think the other issue regarding the topic is the way that this information has been presented in the past has come off a little too directly, just being anti because of your position within the organization or whatever. Which hopefully we can work on in the future, but I can definitely see where some people take an issue with this because of misunderstanding. But on the other side, it's just the way the information is presented.
Yeah, so being a part of the military, we have no problem with that. Excuse me. Waking up and now I get all this nasal drainage coming down. There is no conflict between the way and a service member. It's between the military complex and the way. Because the military will want their orders carried out without question. And being able to stay armed, stay armored, and not initiate violence, that's our top 3 tenets. And that's kind of hard for a service member to be able to keep to those 3 while being enlisted. So at some point, there is going to have to be a choice for that service member. It's like, do I want to follow the way? Or do I want to risk the consequences that come up of being an active duty service member? Or do I want to be an active duty service member and follow the way the best way that I can? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
So by no means are we trying to say, no, you cannot be a service member and be a part of the way. As of my understanding. I might be corrected later on, but that's my understanding of it. My own personal view on that.
And we're all kind of agree that eventually you will probably inevitably be forced to make that decision where you're going to either follow the way as you're supposed to, or you'll have to decide to.
That's right, Kansas. You're in the Facebook chats, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you know what conversation I'm talking about there.
Yeah, I do.
I forgot you were in there, so I was like, right, I can ask him to make sure I'm saying that right.
I think you're definitely getting more across than what was presented initially, but I'm not trying to single anyone out. When it comes to topics like this, it's very hard to explain to individuals because it always gets emotionally invested, and unfortunately, just like everything else in life, politics will get involved in all that.
Yeah, and that is unfortunate.
I think that a lot of people have gotten a little emotionally involved with their things, and it's emotions leaning more towards like the political side of it. Because you are correct, it's going to be very hard to do things like remain armed on basis. I think there are ways to go about it. I'm not familiar with how that works. I'm not a member of the service, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other. At this time, yeah, we definitely think that you can because we're not a legal directed religion, but I'm certain there are ways to go about doing it. One thing trouble is just we need to find ways to explore those options.
Yeah, 100%. So, I think we've beaten that horse. Let's go ahead and get into today's topic, now that Wanderer can join us. So, like I said earlier, today's topic is how to capture, filter, and store your rainwater. So, Wanderer, what kind of stuff do we need?
Okay. I wish he had let me know. I would have been a little more prepared. I'm actually in the process of looking at the YouTube channel that I had posted. Is a treasure trove of resources, and that's what exactly what I'm looking for at the moment. Is the particular video that this gentleman posted.
So, I know the basics of what you need is what you can use is your gutter and your drain system to be able to fill up any kind of reservoir, whether that's going to be a 1,000-gallon plastic container, 5-gallon drums, any kind of you need a tank of some kind to be able to hold all of this water you're going to need. Something to be able to filter the water. I know carbon filters are some of the, I don't know if they're the best to use, but I know that's probably some of the most common. Would that be accurate?
It depends if your container that you've been using had at one point been used for like liquid chemical, because if you buy a container used and it's been used for like fertilizer and stuff, you have to worry about how to get those chemicals out. And carbon filters won't take care of that, but I think the osmosis, I probably mispronouncing, I think the osmosis system can filter the chemicals out, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. Unfortunately, science is not my background. Warehousing is. As well as 3D printing and firearms, but science, not so much.
You know, I used to be in the light industry with food preparation.
Nice. I don't know if you let go of the button or if that was all you were going to say.
What?
I thought you were going further in with that. I'm sorry. My bad.
Oh, just that, in the industry they require that containers be sterilized with bleach.
That is definitely a good way to cleanse. A better thing to do is to primarily find a container that was not used for something other than what you're trying to use it for. Like trying to get a container that was not either a fresh container or maybe even use that container that was bought that used fertilizer or fuel of some kind as a other than rainwater. drinking water container.
And if you buy a new container, make sure it's food grade. I myself have had to find that out the hard way. It wasn't a great week for me spending all that time together.
I bet.
It's one thing to get a hold of stuff that's been made by the industry, be it like plastic or galvanized metal, but you have to kind of think when looking back further than the 20th century. I mean, what were people using to hold water before industry?
Probably something like wooden barrels or troughs. And it probably was not the cleanest of water that they were drinking and storing, which is probably why sickness was rampant.
Yeah, true. What I recall is that like a wooden container, you could like grip.
You could what? I think you let go of the button, Julia.
Sorry. Burning the inside of a wooden barrel sterilizes the interior.
That is correct. You can also add waterproofing to make sure that nothing will leak out. Kansas, I think you were saying something. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I was just making a joke and using the burning the inside of the skull helps water sealing to remove cannons so messed up and make the best whiskey in the front barrel.
You are coming across very muted. I don't know if that's the microphone you're using or what, but I'm only understanding about half of what you're saying.
Sorry, I'm using my Bluetooth and it's been weird lately, but I was just making a joke that the best whiskey's been made in the burnt barrels where they touch the inside of the barrel.
Oh, 100%. Barrel casks, great way to make it. Because you get all of that all that stuff that seeped into the barrel, helping age and craft the current stock. Speaking of whiskey, I think I'm going to start me a new batch of mead soon. And I'm going to try to make a sweet tea mead.
Fermented sweet tea?
Pretty much.
I wonder how that is. I never heard of it.
I just thought about it, doing it myself with, I had made some sweet tea. And apparently the brand that I buy for my tea has a pre-sweetened gallon tea bag. Like a tea bag that makes a gallon serving size. So
I feel like fermented sweet tea is the way that the British royals get away with being cream popular, getting turned up on the weekend.
I did mix the sweet tea with mead. It didn't taste too bad. It was alright, but I'm wondering how it will taste when I actually ferment the mead inside of the tea.
I apologize, gentlemen, everybody. I think I'm ready.
Yeah, you're good. We all have lives.
Well, with the water verification, you said Clorox, that bleach is probably, if you can get your hands on it, it's, depending on your situation, that is the best. But what Julia said regarding burning the inside of like a wood barrel or even a wood bowl or anything that can collect water, that is also correct.
So, let's talk about sizing. Like the size of the system. What is a recommended? Because this is, if you're going off grid, you're going to have a lot of water. Because you're going to need it for farming reasons, your baths, your cooking.
Right, and that would all depend on the amount of people that are with you. Like, if it's just you, then obviously the containers required are not as large. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and how many people you're referring to in that would determine, what you need.
Definitely not. I would not imagine a 5-gallon barrel would be enough for even one person.
It also comes down to region and are you in Vegas or are you in the mountains? The old standby has always been 4 gallons per person per day, but I think that's just regards to minimum drinking water, which is things like minimal hygiene, basic cleaning. But I would definitely say that, in my opinion, at least 10 gallons per person per day, and that's just in my general area, with the way that our weather is fluctuating.
So that's a lot less than what I thought you were going to say.
Well, my area also has a lot of natural water available, although it's a semi livestock area, so we don't have to worry about things like giardia and shit. So I have pretty good water purification system to take care of that. But if you live in a high desert area, I'd say you need to drink that up 30 to 40 gallons per person.
Or inner city.
Most city systems have more water available, but if you live in some place like Los Angeles, that water is definitely not one specific lake or something like that near Los Angeles, or at least within a few miles of Los Angeles. I don't know, I'm not from Common Point.
Or, to take it to the extreme, Flint, Michigan.
Oh,
I don't think anybody wants to be drinking that water.
You don't consider that water at this point? I've seen even the latest stuff. That's pretty, that's not water anymore. That's almost salt.
I'm sorry, what?
I said some of the stuff I've seen lately from some nations, and I wouldn't consider that a liquid. Water. It's almost like a solid.
So, what we're talking about here would be a good thing for them to do, is harvest rainwater and purify that.
That's actually what my grandfather did, and as a rule of thumb, the way he did it was he got his hands on 50-gallon plastic drums, and kind of guesstimated, he figured 50 gallons per person in the family. There were 5 people in the family, so he got 5 barrels, and he did exactly what you said. He was collecting rainwater because he had a garden, and he utilized other water, but he purified that a different way than he did the rainwater.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't need purified as much as what you're drinking and cooking and bathing in.
Correct.
They also find out that there are some places that have rules and regulations regarding the collection of rainwater.
Interesting. Expand upon this, please.
I myself is documenting that. You see all the time where people constantly say, "Oh, it's illegal to collect rainwater." And technically, I want to say in this Colorado, that's where it has not pure rainwater, but downhill from rainwater. But I will point out that most locations probably are okay with you having 1 or 2 drums of rainwater. One of the big cases, there's a guy in Colorado who made his own reservoir lake thing with a few tens of thousands of gallons of water.
Okay.
Yeah, and he had made a dam, but it wasn't made properly or wasn't certified or something, and he kept the township over it because they were concerned that the dam would break and you would rush down a hill and destroy the town or cause damage.
I could see that as being a problem. So yeah, definitely using a actual collection system versus a freestanding lake that you made in your backyard may not be the best idea, depending on where you are. But at the same time, I can see why he would do that, but I would also make sure no corners were cut in the construction of that dam. Aru, I see you jumped in. You're gonna have to change to push to talk. I don't know why the voice channels have decided to change over to that.
I think we'll have on some kind of silence.
I mean, he may have just jumped in wanting to lurk, and I just called him out. Or maybe he's here to tell us he broke another firing pin.
Oh, Lord. Another resource that I've been looking into myself, I'm going to pick one up when I've got the money because, well, I have ADHD and move things. But I've seen a number of items on Amazon where you can pick them up to your bathtub, but you have a like an actual bathtub, not just taking a shower, and it holds like 100 gallons, and all you do is the faucet of your bathtub, turn it on, and it will collect water from there. Additionally, even if you don't have like rain barrels, if you have a swimming pool, that thing holds water. If you got a good one, it holds a lot.
Alright, Aru, you need to right click on your name, go down to voice and video, and you'll see an option for push to talk. That's how you change it. You are no longer allowed firing pins, sir. You have to find something that does not require a firing pin.
It would be nice if it was design firing pins fragile, I'll be honest with you. If every gun had like a Mosin and firing pin, I'd...
Ooh, hey, he figured it out. I finally went to the range Friday, and I fired my rifle. Oh boy, was it fucking off on the sights.
Okay.
Even with the...
In my defense, it was already broken into 2 pieces, and I somehow broke it into a third. And it still fired.
Interesting.
What gun was this? 'Cause this is the first time hearing about it. So what gun did you break the firing pin on?
Well, first I broke my Glock 19 that I built. I broke that firing pin, and then I was cleaning my boss's guns because he said, sure, why not? And I'm kind of doing some amateur gunsmithing at home, so it's like I need to learn how to do all this stuff with other types of guns that I don't have. And he said, well, I've got plenty of fun toys, and I said that. So I go over there, we crack open his RDB Celtic, and I pulled out the bolt carrier group, and the firing pin just kind of went into pieces all over the floor.
Can I ask you, say, is that a Generation 1 Celtic? Because if it's a Gen 1 Celtic, I can tell you exactly what's wrong.
I actually don't know. He's had it for a long time, and it was his riot gun, so...
Nice. So yeah, my rifle has had 80 rounds shot through it. Because it took that long, apparently, to get it completely scoped in.
Sometimes it takes that much, I will say,
Yeah.
an ammunition house, because it's expensive these days.
Luckily, all of this 308 was bought about 7 years ago, so I've still got plenty of it. So the price that I bought it at is nowhere near as bad as it is now.
And then he had this Maxim Defense 300 Blackout that had a very weird buffer assembly.
Ooh, I'm starting to get hungry. I haven't eaten yet. So let's see. We've got. Or do you have anything you want to add for the? I know you weren't here for the most of it, but we were talking about water purification and collection.
All I do is go to my Patriot Supply and they show me filters.
Okay.
And also that RDBs apparently can shoot with broken firing pins.
Good to know. Oh, a little bit more off topic. I finally started reloading 12 gauge. Word of advice: do not put 1 1/4 ounce of shot in a 1 1/8 ounce shell. It does not want to load into the weapon properly. It will actually try to jam the loading mechanism.
So in other words, actually abide by the label on the whatever.
Yeah, I didn't know how much of that would stop it. I didn't know that was a thing. But I did change out the shot ounce, and they started crimping much better. And for the most part, those ones shot just fine at the range, because we also went to the skeet range. Aru's got snow.
It's so warm outside too.
Oh,
That must be, forgetting her name.
Odie.
Yeah. How much does she weigh?
Oh, I have to ask my grandma. She was the last one to take her to bed. Stop licking yourself. Come on. Fuck's sake, dog. Come here.
She looks like almost about the same size as mine, maybe a little bit smaller.
She's a pretty small girl. Hey, Grandma, how much did Odie weigh the last time we weighed her? How much did Odie weigh the last time we weighed her? Because I'm wondering.
I'm curious how much my dog weighs.
Oh, like ballpark, what did they say?
I'm thinking like 35 or something.
Oh, okay, yeah, she's a small pup.
Oh yeah, she's about 20 pounds lighter than my dog. I think I heard 30.
She's just a stocky girl. Hey, baby.
Well, that being said, I'm fixing to go start my day. So I hope y'all have a great one.